What's up, everybody? We're here. It's been a crazy day today. So much going on. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Call ran over, and another one's supposed to be coming through. I'll probably take it after the video or have someone grab it for me because we're here to talk about a case that most of you requested when we found out that we needed to figure out what was going to be next after Darrell Brooks. And the by far most asked about case was this Sarah Boone case here in the Orlando area in Florida. A lot of people we know are going to be involved. But there's a lot of interesting legal angles to this case, which I think makes it right for us to talk about. And it was supposed to go to trial, I believe, this coming Monday. It's been kicked about 2 months, which is okay. We will still be here in 2 months. It just allows us to get a little prep time. Sometimes we don't look at anything before a trial starts. Other cases, we have the opportunity to look through the case a little bit before the trial starts and talk about what we think is going to come out in trial and how we think it's going to actually work. Pam's first ever live. That's awesome. Cindy is looking forward to this trial. Let me know in the comments or the chat if you are one of the ones that requested the Sarah Boone trial and if you're looking forward to it starting. You probably already know a lot about this background. Hit that subscribe button, like the video if you're going to stick around in this channel for the Sarah Boone trial. If it is one that you are most interested in, let me know by liking that video and letting me know in the chat, because this one is really sad, a little creepy, and has a lot of aspects that make it interesting for discussion topics, which we like to discuss whether or not something should have a similar criminal penalty for certain facts versus other facts. By the way, if anybody's making fun of the dude today, I was actually sweating because I was just pulling stuff out of the attic. Christmas decorations, yes. Whitney already has me pulling Christmas decorations down. But I have the Orlando Bloom look from Pirates going on versus Johnny Depp, because I still have this goatee, because I'm just going to wait for everything to grow in and just leave this a little bit thicker. And the pullback hair is giving me those kind of vibes. Yes, John, more swag from fans. I wore yours yesterday. It's one of my favorite shirts I've ever gotten, John, and a very nice note with it, which is so nice. This one is from the Royal Dublin Golf Course. Another perfect fit, FootJoy. So thank you to John and everyone who is sending shirts. It's so fun. I'm going to get a rack for underneath my TV in my office, and I'm going to hang all the shirts that you guys sent so they can be displayed, and all the generosity from the channel can show through, and all the different colors and countries and states and courses. It's really cool. It's random that this happened, you know. And also, people have been sending me some golf hats now from Wisconsin, from New York, from Kentucky. So that's really cool as well. And I'm gonna display them all in the background for you all. Another special gift was sent to me today, but I didn't get into the office to see it yet. So we'll look at that tomorrow. Okay, enough about that. I'm not here to waste your time. Let's talk about this case. Sarah Boone, who was married, divorced, I believe had a child that she shared custody with her former husband, has a new boyfriend, and there have been many, many domestic violence, domestic issue calls between these two partners. And both of them have been the potential criminal defendant. The deceased and her boyfriend at the time was, I believe, a convicted felon dealing with probation and parole issues that she was helping him with. He had some criminal history while they were together, and she was always there for him, as she said throughout the videos. And there are 3 main videos that I've reviewed most of. We're going to watch one together that is incredibly difficult to watch, and we're going to discuss the other 2 and see if you guys really want me to go in and really break down the interrogation at the police station and then the discussions outside the house when police show up to find her significant other deceased in her house. So when we talk about, sorry, somebody's saying, yeah, my info is all in the chat. TragosLaw.com is our website for our law firm. Tragos Law is how you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. So when we talk about what happened, here is Sarah Boone's story. We were playing hide and seek. We thought it would be funny if he got in the suitcase, and He did get in the suitcase. We drank a bottle of wine. I basically passed out from being drunk, woke up, lived part of the day because I don't think it was until the afternoon she realized he wasn't around, and then went and found his body in the suitcase. Okay? So people are going to know a lot more about this case than I do because I've just looked into it the last day or two. So generally speaking, that's kind of her story. So knowing that she did have some part, at least admittedly, of putting him in the suitcase, whether it was hide and seek, whether it was for fun, whatever, and knowing that he died in that suitcase, if those were the only facts you knew, and you believe that Sarah Boone got drunk and passed out, do you think she should be guilty of any kind of homicide? And if so, let's use these characters here in the chat for you to tell me. Intentional homicide, depraved heart homicide, or negligent homicide? What do you think it would be based on those factors? Because as I look at it, I see somebody doing something stupid, potentially two people doing something that's stupid, zipping someone up in a suitcase. I have no idea how a grown man fit in a suitcase. A lot of you are saying 3, negligent homicide. Where is the evidence, citizen? We're going to get to it. We're going to talk through it, right? This is just the beginning. This is the intro of us talking about Sarah Boone. Most of you are saying 3, negligent homicide. Not knowing any other facts, Kaylee, absolutely. Negligent. Some depraved heart votes, okay? And this is why we're discussing it, because I want to understand, as a story develops, what do we think? And this is how law enforcement officers and sometimes assistant state attorneys, this is how they have to, oh, great question, Alice. Great question. Let me put it up there on the screen. I'm sorry. I'm on my own today, so I'm doing my best with the comments and stuff. Option number 2 was depraved heart homicide. And as Alice said, what is that? That means you're angry at the person and you may want to hurt the person or something bad to have the person, but you don't necessarily mean to kill them. So depraved heart is a bad, nasty, hateful heart. And there's a homicide, but it doesn't mean like I'm intentionally trying to kill somebody. So intentional would be first-degree murder, depraved heart, second-degree murder, manslaughter, or some kind of negligent homicide would be number 3 that we're talking about. Okay? Most of you are saying negligent. Some of you are saying depraved heart or second-degree murder. None of you are saying first-degree intentional homicide. And I would agree based on those facts. But let's add a little bit of context, okay? So we knew about the background. We knew about the issues they had. Very interesting and kind of weird that she called her ex-husband first to come over. It was her day to have the child, I believe. But her ex-husband does come over, tries to help. He lives nearby, and he's like, we got to call the cops like now, which they do. And Sue, I'm glad you got the notification. Welcome. So based on those facts, I do think it kind of feels like negligent homicide. But let's add some context to it. And when we first talk about some of her interviews with law enforcement, she clearly says that she was not drunk. She clearly says she only had a glass or a couple glasses of wine. She clearly says she was not totally messed up in the head at the time that this happened. So I think that changes some context to her story now, which kind of feels like she tried to pick a convenient story that she was drunk, they were messing around, and she just kind of passed out. It also doesn't track that you're drunk, you mess around, you go pass out, and then you still don't find him till the next afternoon. So that's an issue, and that makes it more difficult. But let's add the context of the video most of you have already seen, and it's really sad to watch. It's not graphic because you don't necessarily see anything, but it's really hard to watch and listen to them talk back and forth. But let's watch it together. It's 2 minutes here, okay? And don't worry, we're not going to watch on 1.5 speed.
Sarah.
So this green or blue suitcase is where her boyfriend is zipped. And if you listen, that's his voice you can hear saying Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
So I should have given a language disclaimer there. There is some language in this video, but a couple things I notice immediately from this video. Yes, trigger warning, Valerie. Yes, it's disturbing. You can't see anything, but what you hear is disturbing. So a couple things. Number one, she absolutely sounds intoxicated to me. Number two, for everything you did to me. Is it starting to change whether you think it's negligent, depraved heart, or intentional? Let's just think about this as we're getting potential evidence. And this was found on her cell phone. And she, in the interviews, if you watch the interviews, and a video I will eventually come out with about how you can waive your rights without even knowing it, she let law enforcement search her house. She gave law enforcement her cell phone. She thought that by cooperating, it was going to be better for her. Well, she gave them the evidence they needed to convict her. And at this point, with this video, it's just going to get worse as we continue to watch. So he says, Sarah pleading for her help, and she, in a slurred voice, says, "This is for everything you did to me."
Sarah.
Audibly
Fuck
laughing.
you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Sarah. I can't.
So as we watch this, we are going to talk about it from both sides, right? So when you think about, we know how the prosecution is going to use this, right? Intentional. This is for everything you did to me. But I actually think that Sarah Boone can use this video to her benefit in trying to explain that she was drunk and they were joking around. They were messing around. She's laughing. She's calling him stupid. Like, how stupid are you? You got in a suitcase. So to me, I do think she can also use this video, or her lawyers can use this video to say they were clearly messing around, playing around. She was drunk. She didn't understand his cries for help. I think that's going to be their argument. I don't know. I'm just saying there are some arguments here that this video does show and track with kind of what her story is, that they were drinking, they were messing around. She ends up passing out.
I fucking breathe, babe. Sarah.
I can't breathe, babe.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real ransom. I want to get video for it extra.
So I have no idea what she's even saying right there, but he's like, Sarah, babe, I can't breathe, seriously. And she's like, that's on you. That's what you do when you choke me. Things like that.
Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you jingle me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Fucking breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
Shh.
So that's the brutal video that a jury is going to see and be able to determine what they think happened that night. After watching that video, do you think this was an intentional homicide, a depraved heart killing, or a negligent homicide? Some of you have already been posting how your minds may have been changed, so let me know what you think. Tori was physically ill watching the video she took and hearing him beg and listen to him get quieter and quieter. Her defense is going to be it was an accident. That's going to be her defense. Her defense will also probably be that he got into the suitcase himself. Probably. That's probably what she's going to argue. So a lot of you are saying intentional now. Some of you are saying depraved heart, and still a couple negligent. I think depraved heart, second degree murder seems to be the one that most people are voting for, but still a lot of negligent homicide. Kimberly says Boone put her son in a suitcase and posted it online and got a case with CPS before she did it to her boyfriend. That's scary. Bev, research shows people who decorate earlier/earliest for Christmas are the happiest. Go Whitney, make that man earn his keep. I love it. I don't really have a problem with it. I have a problem. I hate getting the Christmas decorations up and down from the attic, but I'm on my own, so I can't post a poll. Sorry to the chat. But that's funny. And we are very happy during Christmas. It's the best time of year. Why is she going through so many lawyers? Alice asked. This is a good question, and I don't know the answer. Irreconcilable differences is what it seems to be the answer to most of them, which they either don't believe her and think she wants to lie on the stand. They don't want to put her on the stand to lie. They won't take a theory that she's telling them is the theory that she wants to take. They won't do certain things that she wants them to do, usually is why you go through so many lawyers. Donkey, how was he locked up in there? How did it happen? And I think this is a good question that the state has the burden of proving. How did he get into the suitcase? How did that happen? And if it was just them two there, I think that's part of it, but she definitely had an opportunity and ability to let him out of the suitcase and chose not to. Spicy Draco, it sounds like she's accusing him of DV. Yes, they had a history of that, so it wouldn't be surprising if she did accuse him of that. Kimberly Clark, I saw on another YouTube video she put her son in a suitcase and posted it online, caught a CPS case before she did it to her boyfriend, intentional. Now, I definitely think if that is true, I think that is going to come in as other bad acts in Florida. It's also going to come in as her mode of operation. And a way that she does things to hurt people is put them in suitcases, as wild as that sounds. But that, to me, would be incredibly damning evidence, wouldn't it to you? Because if I put somebody in a suitcase, there's nobody in my life that would be able to say, oh, he always puts people in suitcases. He thinks that's funny or cool or a way to punish them. So if she did do that to her son, and this is true, it is not going to go well for her, in my opinion. And I don't know whether or not that's going to come in. Natalie Walker, what was his official cause of death? Gosh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I have not seen that come in yet. I would guess asphyxiation, or else there would be other elements. And here, so let's get to this. So what was she charged with, and what does it mean in Florida? Well, as most of you guessed, she was charged with second-degree murder. What's also interesting is in the past, in 2018, she was charged with battery and strangulation after a fight these two had. But now it's second-degree murder. It's not intentional, and it's not a negligent homicide. And to me, what's interesting about somebody saying, what was the cause of death? Or did she kick him down the stairs? Things like that. I think there may be more of a first-degree intentional homicide if they could prove that she kicked him down the stairs and he had a bunch of broken bones or bruises all over him, things like that. So that's why I think the cause of death was asphyxiation. Okay. So what is second-degree murder in Florida? Second-degree murder is the unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated by any act imminently dangerous to another and evincing a depraved mind, regardless of human life, although without any premeditated design to effect the death of any particular individual. So that answered everybody's questions earlier about what is a depraved heart or a depraved mind. That is second-degree murder. And Nicole just asked, is ugly heart a charge? Yes, the way that I described it, ugly heart, depraved mind. The unlawful killing of a human being when perpetrated by an act imminently dangerous to another. So you know it's going to be dangerous to another to put them in a suitcase and not let them out of a suitcase, right? And you have a depraved mind regardless of human life. You don't care about the human life that may be affected by your bad, miserable, ugly heart decisions. The penalty for second-degree murder, May, is up to life. Lisa Borey says she's abusive. I mean, I think that is just factually correct. I don't think that's an opinion. I think she's been charged and convicted of prior acts to him, and now this, obviously. Francis McAllister, depraved. He's folded in half. Ever tried breathing while folded? Not to mention she went to bed after recording this. And I think that's going to be a big difference. Was it going to bed or was it passing out? Because I think that's a big difference. That really is a big difference. John O'Rourke, lots of unknowns here. She could have a strong case. And that's why I think we're learning, seeing what we know. We're going to see what other evidence the prosecution has when they put it on. And through the interviews, when police are interrogating her, honestly, a lot of it, she does seem like she's freaking out. She does seem like she got drunk. She does seem like she doesn't know what happened. She said she didn't get drunk, though, in parts of the interview, which I think was weird. But to me, it's definitely something that is going to be an interesting trial. It's not just a slam dunk, open and shut case. I really don't think it is. Why did the case get delayed? Sorry if I missed it. Lovely MN. They asked for a continuance. I think it was because of all the lawyer issues that she's having. Judge granted it. It's going January 30th. But usually, like I always say, these trials always get continued. Usually, once it gets bumped like that, only 2 months, there's a good chance it's actually going to go on January 30th. So we'll see. Kelly's Corner. Cause of death, probably positional asphyxiation. Jackie T. Question, Peter, will a jury know she went through so many lawyers? If so, will that make her seem more guilty of intent? No. A jury will not know that she went through a bunch of lawyers. It's not relevant because it does not tend to prove or disprove any important facts or law in the case here. So we don't want to just make the criminal defendants look bad. We don't want to just make them seem guilty or jurors to infer that she must be guilty because she went through so many lawyers. We don't want that. Spy C. Draco. In Florida, can past DV be a defense for murder? So it can be like a battered spouse syndrome that he was going to do something to you, so that's why he did it to him. I really don't think it could be a defense in this case because he wasn't doing anything to her. He was literally zipped in a suitcase. She could have called the cops on him. I really don't think it can be a defense here. But it can come in as part of a defense in other cases. I'm trying to think of one. We talked about one where it did kind of come up. I can't remember which case it was, but it can come up as part of a defense. But past DV cannot be the defense for murder if nothing was happening at the time and you weren't in fear of bodily harm. But what it can come into is how maybe she, Sarah Boone, was in fear of bodily harm because of the past DV. So he was doing something where she knew the next step was going to be bad because of the past DV. I don't think we have that here as the man is zipped in a suitcase. Being drunk should not be able to be a defense. And Donnie Ewing, being drunk doesn't necessarily mean that it's a defense. What being drunk does is make it unintentional, right? It could create some issues with intentional homicide or depraved heart homicide, is that, she just passed out, but it can still be either a negligent homicide or depraved heart based on other factors that the jury can consider. But yeah, you can't get drunk or get high and be like, oh, insanity, because you can't intentionally make yourself incompetent or insane. Jennifer Foley. So being drunk is neglect. Intentionally drinking should be intentional defense. Yeah. So it's not an outright defense. It's not, I'm not guilty because I was drunk. That is not how it is. So hopefully we cleared that up. Yes. Linda LW, she was laughing. Why do you think she videotaped it? Love Living Peach. Again, if I'm her and I take the stand, a plausible explanation is I videotaped it because we were laughing about this and we were going to watch it back tomorrow together and I was going to laugh at him for being trapped in a suitcase. Never did we think he was going to die. That's a plausible explanation. I think that John O'Rourke is talking about. She may actually have a case depending on what the jury believes and what the other evidence shows. There's going to be a lot of evidence that we don't know about yet. Beverly Alford, a good attorney gets her out of this. I by no means think she's innocent. On the contrary, she messed up. But far too much evidence in her corner. Tara Ellis, who determines prior bad acts being admitted? A judge. There's Williams rule evidence here in Florida. You have to have a Williams rule hearing and see how similar it is, how connected it is, how legitimate it is, how much you can prove that it's actually true that it happened. All sorts of factors go in as to whether or not other bad acts can come in a case in Florida. John O'Rourke, could this be similar to leaving a child or a dog in a hot vehicle accidentally? I think that's exactly what her argument's going to be. It's the same exact as that. It's neglect. Again, still a crime, but it wouldn't be second-degree murder. I also don't know if they've charged all the lesser includeds, because if they charge her with second-degree murder and the jury comes back and says they don't think it was intentional and still convict her of manslaughter, that could be something as well. Yeah, Clifton Bowen. Fake if she put her son in the suitcase, too premeditated. I agree. If they can get into those other bad acts that she put her son in a suitcase, it's not going to be good for her. Not going to be good for her. So as they go throughout this case, the state has the burden of proof. They have to fill all the holes. They have to explain how this happened, why this happened. But the video shows a little view into what she was thinking and feeling while all this was happening. And to me, it does show a criminal mind to sit there while your significant other is in a suitcase not breathing. She was with it enough to have that back and forth. And I would ask, is it true that he strangled you? Is it true that he abused you? Is it true that he does this to you? So all those things you were saying while he was trapped in there were true. So you were of lucid enough mind to have that conversation with him. Yet now you're saying that you were so drunk you don't know what happened and you just went and passed out. You didn't pass out on the couch, right? You walked up to your room to pass out. So when you walked up to your room, you intentionally left him downstairs in the suitcase knowing he couldn't get out of it. So I think there are some things that the state can develop. And again, I don't expect her to take the stand in this case, because I think if she takes the stand, the state can cook her on the stand. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to prove it without her. Tori File. Okay, unpopular thoughts. I believe, given she was clearly drunk, I believe negligent homicide or depraved heart makes the most sense. We have to use all the evidence we have, guys. Right, and there's going to be more that we don't know yet. Rosemarie J. In police interview, she admits zipper the suitcase. So to me, those police interviews, she made a lot of admissions that are not going to be good for her. And so Betsy asked, are we going to watch the interrogation everyone is talking about? You guys let me know. I didn't think you'd want to watch 2 hours of her police interrogation. Some of it is very boring, in my opinion. But if you guys want to watch it together and break down where she's making admissions, where she should have asked for a lawyer, which is in the beginning, frankly, where she, just waives her rights left and right to let them stack up all this evidence against her. So if you want to watch the entire police interrogation together and break it down piece by piece, let me know in the comments and let me know in the chat. Because if you do, we'll do it. We'll do it in pieces. We'll do 20 or 30 minutes at a time. We'll break it down in pieces, kind of like we did some of the depositions and other things in other cases. So yeah, so let me know in the chat and in the comments if you guys do want to watch me break that down. There was also a semi-interrogation right outside her house when police showed up to the scene of the crime. Glow 3. So this is an interesting thought. Everyone has a bad night, but this goes far beyond that. And I think this is going to be something they talk about with the jury. And the criminal defense lawyers are going to talk to people. Have you ever blacked out from getting drunk? Have you ever blacked out from getting high? Could you remember what happened? Things like that. And I think if you get enough people on the jury that have blacked out, that gives you more of a chance to either get it to be a negligent killing or maybe even win somehow, some way, if the state can't fill the holes in the story. Versus if you get people that don't drink or don't do drugs or have never blacked out before in their life or never partied before in their life, I think it's going to be much harder. So I think the jury is really going to make a difference in this case and what they're mental background is and their makeup and, you know, their lifestyle. I really think it can make a big difference. PHOP444. She just didn't seem too upset about him dying during the police questioning or the interview. I don't know if this is fair, PHOP. I know you comment a lot and are very level-headed, and I appreciate that. When I watched some of them, I did think that, you know, she was crying. She said, we were doing really great. I did love him. I've been with him the whole time. There were other times where I 100% agree with you that she seemed very cold. And to me, I'm right with you there. But I do think there were certain points where she did show that empathy. Stacey Farrow said the questioning outside her house was bananas. You have to watch it if you haven't already. Yes, I have watched it. I didn't know you guys would want to watch all that together. So that's interesting to me. And if you do, we can make that happen. As you guys know, you control the content here for the most part, as long as it's appropriate and okay. Let's see what else we have. Southern Mama. Hey, Peter, what would be the biggest question you would ask her as the prosecution? What was she intending to do when she went to bed? What did she think the consequences were of her going to bed? What did she think he was going to do, Mr. Torres? What did she think he was going to do? Those are the questions I would ask her. Because it's one thing to pass out on the couch. Like, while I'm talking to him, we're having fun, we're joking around, I'm taking a video I can show him in the morning after we're done playing this stupid game, and then I pass out. So Marty and a few others have said they do want to hear the legal breakdown of that. Valerie said she thought he was going to unzip himself. I think that's a great answer from her. She could say, I thought he could unzip himself from the inside. I don't know how my suitcase is set up. I don't know if you can do that or not. Rosie, off topic, but so sad when I went to look up Suitcase murder. Our main stories were a 12-year-old found dead in a suitcase here in Paris, France. Oh my gosh. So sad. All right, so a lot of you are saying you'd like to hear that breakdown. So we'll look into making it happen. And one of the ways to make sure it happens is if you like this video and you tell anybody else interested in this case to come watch this video, get to my page because of the Sarah Boone case. Let me know you're here because of the Sarah Boone case. And if this is what you want, that's how we drive the time and the energy to break this stuff down. I think this case is incredibly interesting. It is literally here in my backyard in Orlando, Florida, about an hour away from where I'm at. So we are going to be able to cover it. It's the same laws we deal with. I can bring my dad in to talk about the case as well. He's tried cases in this courtroom. And so we can talk about it a lot. So just let me know. Keep me posted on it in the comments and by liking the video. And if you are here for Sarah Boone, hit that subscribe button so you can stick around. Hit the reminder bell. So anytime we talk about Sarah Boone, you can get in the chat and we can have some fun with it because it's the best chat on YouTube we got right here. I appreciate all you joining me here. And that's another live in the books. I love you all. Until next time.